Hello, this is David with Stupid Things People Do and what we can learn from them. Now, normally we tell a story about stupid people doing stupid things and then, surprise, we learn something. Now, because I firmly believe that cutting humor should at least be trauma-informed, this vlog typically takes the perspective of the victim as the protagonist. But the problem is taking the victim's perspective doesn't really work this time because there's like way too many victims. Seriously, this Tale of Two Dirties should be a 448-page saga. It began in 2017 and didn't resolve until nearly 2021. But I'll try to summarize a little faster than Charles Dickens. Just like the book, we've got two cities, Scottsdale and Phoenix. And yes, those are their real names. I visited them. They're warm. Well, one of them is warm, the other one blazes like the fires of Avernus. And within this Grecian hellscape of the American West, you may find a cute little bark if you're dirty strip club. I mean dog wash. Sorry, I'm easily confused by names. And apparently so are the owners and the customers. See, the women who worked there were forced to wear shirts emblazoned with the company name, Bark If You're Dirty. And this had the effect of them being subject to all kinds of barking and dog whistles from the customers. Now, if anyone is thinking, well, surely that's a glitch, not a feature. Bark If You're Dirty was quite literally just a Wag N Wash doing business underneath a dirty moniker. Now, what kind of person takes something as innocuous as Wag N Wash and 4chans it into something that sounds like a seedy film found in the back room of a 1980s blockbuster? Well, the same people who employed the Narcissist King. Twice. Now, you may remember the Narcissist King from our How to Frame Friends and Influence People episode, along with numerous other episodes where our antagonists have managed to earn that specific title. But this Narcissist King is extra special, because by some kind of glitch in the Matrix, this guy got copy-pasted Agent Smith style into not one, but both of the Bark Dirties. Our first antagonist, Kenny, not his real name, seemed to have gotten relationship advice from a mixture of Andrew Tate and OnlyFans, opting to woo his coworkers by commenting on and then groping them before showing them his nude collection and then soliciting them. When, to his surprise, that failed, he elected for screaming spittle onto a woman's face and then focused on turning her life into a living hell until she quit. And this was in 2017. She reported it multiple times to HR, but apparently it wasn't just the Narcissist King on the let's abuse our coworkers train, but also the HR department, because they tried to force his victim to meet with him repeatedly. And in case you need more proof that leadership was in on it, not only was leadership the one who named the store, but one of the owners even got in on the action by turning the very act of dog grooming into the kind of innuendo that I am not going to repeat on this video. And like I said, the Narcissist King got glitch copied. Twice. We have Kenny at the North location, who we just discussed, and his copy down in Phoenix, Gonzalez, who initiated a similar nudes, groping, and harassment campaign that resulted in similar outcomes. In fact, quite a few of Gonzalez's victims were reported the problem to operations, but like I said, leaders were in on it, and Gonzalez was able to fire anybody who reported him, counting on leadership to take his side, which they did, repeatedly. Anyway, at this point, you're probably wondering where the saga is going, and there's a reason I invoked the Tale of Two Dirties. This is long. Like, I'm not even covering half of it. For example, there was an injunction filed against Kenny at the Scottsdale location preventing him from having contact with one of his victims. Well, injunction be darned, the Scottsdale HR department tried to force his victim to meet with him, and ultimately Gonzalez at the other location did get fired following an investigation into his misconduct, but weirdly, he wasn't fired for his egregious abuses. Instead, leadership wanted to make it absolutely clear where their priorities were, and they fired him for failing to wear a name tag. And for not answering emails. It's insane, but this is going somewhere. From 2017 to 2021, the Bark Dirties knew about ongoing harassment and abuse of female employees by their customers and management. Leadership empowered the managers to engage in this abuse by taking their side repeatedly, and even went so far as to violate an injunction forcing a victim to meet with her abuser. And regardless of what the lawyers think, my personal belief is that what these men were doing, well, it might have crossed the line from harassment into sexual abuse. And it's David from the future, yet again. What the idiot in the past is trying to convey is that there's a point where sexual misconduct is no longer just a civil offense, but is a criminal offense. Of course, that's tricky in ways that the idiot in the past isn't considering. Because sometimes the same misconduct could be treated as a misdemeanor or even a felony, but that's a criminal case with a different standard of proof, beyond reasonable doubt, than a civil case would be. Now, this vlog isn't about civil cases versus criminal cases, that would be an interesting topic. Suffice it to say, what our lovely idiot is trying to say is that this behavior is really egregious to the point where simply calling it harassment doesn't seem to, in his opinion and in my opinion, accurately describe what's going on. But don't read into
the way he said it too much.
But idiotic and opinion-based flags that I'm planting on idealistic hills aside, there are two mistakes the Bark Dirties made that share common mistakes with other, less malevolent organizations. That is, knowing about harassment and failing to take action, such as by believing the harasser's reputation puts them above reproach. And the second is dealing with the issue by trying to force a mediation between the alleged victim and the alleged harasser. Obviously, this is bad. You don't want to do it. But to help organizations avoid these pitfalls and define what is harassment and how to respond to harassment in a way which isn't awful, the EEOC has proposed some enforcement guidelines. These guidelines detail everything an HR director would need to know about harassment, including causation, definitions, liability, systemic harassment, and links to EEOC resources. Specifically, the kind of harassment we're looking at here is systemic harassment, meaning that multiple individuals are subject to a similar form of discrimination. This creates a situation where tolerating or creating a hostile work environment becomes, in effect, a matter of company practice. It's called a pattern or practice case. To avoid liability in pattern or practice cases, employers can't just address the single incident of reported harassment as if it were an acute symptom, because the issue is chronic. Instead, they will need far more sweeping steps to determine whether the conduct reflects a wider problem, and if it does, they're going to need to implement company-wide procedures and solutions. Of course, should anyone find themselves in a situation where their company may have Agent Smithed its way into this kind of situation, that actually is something that investigative firms like Teleos Investigations can help with, not only to uncover and ameliorate the culture problems, but ideally to address and bring healing to victims. Anyway, I know this has been a long video, but I really hope it's been educational, and I'll see you next time.